If we are given one trigonometric ratio, we can draw a right angle triangle and use Pythagoras' theorem to find any other ratio as an exact value. So if sine of A is 3/8, for A greater than 0 degrees but less than 90 degrees, express cos of A in the form of root k over m, where k and m are elements of the natural number set. So the k and the m are positive whole numbers. So we're going to draw a rough right angle triangle, call one of the acute angles A, name the opposite as 3 and the hypotenuse as 8. So here's our right angle triangle. We're going to label one of the angles as A, one of the acute angles, so basically this one or this one, just not the right angle. And we are going to label the opposite as 3. So this is the angle, so this is the opposite. So we're going to label that as 3 and as O. And we're going to label the hypotenuse as 8. So the hypotenuse is the longest side, so we label that as 8 and H. So the reason for this is we were told that sine of A is 3/8. And sine comes from SO in our SOHCAHTOA formula, and SO stands for sine equals O over H. So the opposite is the numerator, so the opposite must be 3. So the length that is opposite the angle must be 3. So this is the angle. This is the length that's opposite. So this must be 3. And the denominator is H. So the denominator, which is 8, is going to be the hypotenuse. So this is the hypotenuse. So this is 8. So the other side left over is going to be labelled as A, which stands for adjacent. And we can also call it X because it's an unknown side. So we drew a rough sketch of the right angle triangle. We labelled one of the angles as A. It doesn't matter which one we labelled. The opposite of that angle is 3. The hypotenuse is 8. Then we let the unknown side, which is also the adjacent, be X. So if we had labelled this as the angle A, then this would end up being our adjacent side or our X. So it doesn't matter which way you do it, but it will always work out. Now we use Pythagoras to calculate X. So we know Pythagoras' theorem is c squared equals a squared plus b squared, with the c being the longest side, the c being the hypotenuse. So we're going to have x squared plus 3 squared equals 8 squared, or 8 squared equals x squared plus 3 squared. 3 squared is 9, 8 squared is 64. We minus 9 to both sides. We get x squared equals 55. Bring the squared over the equal sign, and x equal to the square root of 55. So now we know that this unknown side, the adjacent side, is really root 55. So our unknown side is now root 55. So we were asked to express cos of A in the form of root k over m, where k and m are elements of the natural number set. So CAH comes from cos, and it stands for cos is equal to a over h, where a is the adjacent and h is the hypotenuse. So cos of A is going to be the adjacent, which we got to be root 55, over the hypotenuse, which we already had as 8. So cos of A equals root 55 over 8. So we've expressed cos of A in the form of root k over m.